Those are all. For show. Oh, but goodies.
I promised you a little while ago, after a nice groupage of tunage, that we would enjoy a slight little segment out of the Atomic Bum by Coyote Bear, a book written by Coyote Bear. It's available on Amazon.com. It's got a cute little cover that's red as all get out with some gold in it. And wow, man, the sunrise or the sunset, you can't tell. Personally, I take it as the sunrise. And there's kind of a symbolic being, naked as all get out. Of course, he's covered up with lettering, so you can't see his ass crack. Floating into the sun, man, you know. And on top of that, it says, life on the edge. And then it says, the Atomic Bum. And boy, it's a mystical picture, man. I mean, it's a compelling cover, and intentionally so. And like, wow. It's a gift of heart from friends of mine. One created it, and one manifested it as a book cover, and then I had to go and fine-tune it when I redid the edition. I had to take out... Well, anyway, wow, and here it is. And man, well, it tells a story right there, you know. They say you can't judge a book by a cover, and you really can't. But inside of this one is exactly what's portrayed on that cover, if you can see what it really is. You know, take a good look at it in your heart there, because I know that's where you are right now. And you'll see what I mean, Jellybean. Now understand, this is kind of a mystical work written with the satirical tongue of a coyote-type character. The main character's name is Good Dude, and he's sitting at a campfire, in fact, in a hobo camp somewhere out there in the Midwest, you know, the western Midwest, and he's like hanging out with this other dude who's almost his exact replication, who's sitting across the fire from him, and Good Dude is telling him his tale. Now, the segment we're moving into here, just to give it a tiny bit of background so you can kind of understand what's going on. There's this person who is the main character, Good Dude's great-great-granny, or something like that. It might be a great-great-great-granny. Not certain of where that fits right in, but she's on her way west with a wagon train. She's about in her young 30s, about 32 or so. And she has 3 sons in tow. She lost her husband a couple of years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, to a toothache, believe it or not, that killed him. He pulled it, and he died the next day, man. Blood poisoning, I reckon, from the infection that spread. He didn't have no penicillin or nothing, you know. And obviously didn't have the spiritual energy or the gumption to stay alive. So there he was, gone away. And here she was, a widow, with an amazing life ahead of her. This woman went on, you know, not only to support her and her sons, 3 sons on this small farm. Even after they were taken away, she earned enough money to buy herself to bring them back. And, you know, little by little got her life back together after this tragic death of her husband, which really would have compelled her into slavery with another man under normal circumstances. This was like the mid-1800s. You got to see, maybe, you know, and it was just, wow. A lot harsher circumstances than some folks face today. But she'd done incredibly well despite all of that, and she went on to have this experience with this mysterious character that founded this crazy religion, you know. And she became one of his patrons, man, you know, in her own way. And, you know, then he went and got himself assassinated, and the whole organization now is in the process of moving itself west, where they can live unmolested by the population around them, because there isn't any, or at least as far as they can tell. I guess they didn't consider Indians as population, sorry to say. But they're learning their lessons as they're underway. Now, they're out there somewhere along the North Platte River following what they call the Mormon Trail. And she and the wagon boss have kind of a special relationship. She's also traveling with her older brother, who is also engaged, of course, with this religion they're moving west for, you know. And between them, they got 3 big old Conestoga wagons full of provisions and supplies with which they're going to re-begin their lives by homesteading out there in this magical land of wherever it is they're going. They're not even sure yet, you know. The first wagon trains have arrived there, But so far they haven't heard too much about it. The riders haven't got back that far. So they're still just underway on a journey to where they don't even know where they're going. Just westward ho and let's go. Well, along the way, they encounter this Indian character who just shows up out of nowhere and establishes a certain communication with them and explains to them that there's a huge herd of buffalo in the area and it's likely to cause them some trouble. So they'd be safe if they just camped at this spring here by the North Platte River, just circled the wagons as white folks tend to do, and, camp out for 3 days and wait for this herd to pass, and then they can go on unmolested, and the Indians won't demand any sugar or flour or anything from them, let alone their scalps, And they're looking at him saying, why, man, I thought we were enemies and shit, and this dude said, no, we're brothers, something along that line occurred. And so now the buffalo, they actually did that. Of course, there's a big conflict about it and everything. But they actually did that, camped at that spring for 3 days. This wagon boss had faith enough in this Indian's word to believe him. And sure as hell it happened. The buffalo herd showed up, and they were stampeding when they were running, man. Full on, man. And coming bearing down right on the circled up wagon train. Hell, they could have come charging through there and busted up everything. But this Indian fella on his little spotted pony stood there in front of him, and they parted around him. And one went around one side of the wagon train, one went around the other side of the wagon train, and there you are, man. The wagon train was spared. So now this main character's great-great-granny and the wagon boss, of course, had been down checking on the oxens when all of a sudden the stampede shows up. You could feel the thunder of it coming, but they just couldn't get out of there quick enough, because there was some situations with the cattle. Well, anyway, when the stampede shows up, they scuttle up a tree. And that's where we begin our story. That's the background, okay? So now I'll begin reading. This is called The Atomic Bomb by Coyote Bear. Oh, and it's kind of mystical, so I'm not sure young children want to hear this part, okay? But they might, who knows, Okay, here we go. Page 97, starting on the first paragraph down from the top. They scuttled up the tree to where and I'm going to paraphrase some of this, because, okay. They scuttled up the tree to where 3 large trunk-like branches curved outward from the main stem, creating what looked like the palm of a rather large hand. 2 people could hunker down there unseen by anyone, for the thick branches on the sides curved upward, disallowing the view of oneself from anywhere but directly above them. And even that would be a difficult view, for there were many leaves and branches. These were trees that grew at least 60 feet tall and spread out 150 feet wide. The wagon boss had found the perfect hidden lookout, and the perfect hiding place. They'd be safe from the pounding hooves of that huge herd of buffalo just now thundering over the ridge to the north of them. Both sat in their tree with their mouths agape. The wave of buffalo trotting over that ridge that looked like a dark sea made of the huge animals. The sound of a million hooves pounding upon the earth as they plodded along created a thunder, a vibration that permeated the air around you with noise so thick you could not hear one another talking, let alone shouting. The best you could do was make motions and hand signals, that is, if you wished to communicate at all. The herd broke over the ridge in a wave at least a half a mile wide, bearing down intently upon the circled wagons around the spring, contrary to what the Indians had told them of the herd passing them to the west. But when the herd came within 100 yards of the wagon encampment, a lone human form atop a brown and white spotted Indian pony appeared out of nowhere, taking a position facing the thundering herd square on, at a point just about smack in the middle of them. The horse and rider simply stopped, turned to face the charging buffalo, then sat there with the rider's upraised arms spread open. And lo and behold, the thundering herd of buffalo parted around him, and around the wagon train, and the penned-up oxen, charging into the waters of the North Platte, and emerging out of it on the other side, the huge herd converging there, then continuing southward. As the charging herd passed by, a cloud of dust as thick as the thunder drifted upward around the wagon boss and great-great-granny, making the air so thick that she could hardly breathe. Without thinking, she leaned into the wagon boss, burying her face in his shirt, and felt his firm arms around her. Okay, flipping over the page here. And I'm going to take a little slug on my coffee, too. Got to keep this gravelly voice paved over, you know. In a moment of magic, the air suddenly cleared around them. A small patch maybe 15 feet wide, and she could breathe just fine. And when she leaned back to take a deep breath, her startled eyes fell upon the face of Jesus, not the wagon boss. It was Jesus who held her, Jesus who looked her deeply in the eyes, seeing into her soul, her heart, and melting whatever resistance could have been there. Now she became soft putty in his hands, willing to go anywhere, do anything. In fact, hungering for his touch upon her hungry skin, welcoming his presence within her, loving his soft caresses as he gently grazed her neck and shoulder, her clothes falling away, all of them. When his warm hands touched her, she felt the fire clear to the bottom of her soul, the flame arising, consuming her, as it grew from the center outward. His breath, his kisses, the pleasure. "Oh my God," she shrieked into the deadening thunder that surrounded them. "Oh my God, you have awakened me." Instantly she opened her eyes and saw not a man, but a huge beast that glowed with soft white color. A beast as huge as a buffalo? Yes, it was a buffalo god, one with a monstrously delicious presence, a presence that joined them forever as one thought, one huge rolling emotion, an emotion as thick and as flowing as the thundering herd of buffalo around them. Without hesitation, she took the god's body within herself, making it a part of herself, soaking the rest of him inward like a sponge, becoming the buffalo, feeling the freedom of the unending plains, the lushness of the tall waving grasses, the oneness with the wind, the sky, the earth. And being a part of all its cycles and seasons, flowing with time, engaging with life, being the center of all, the one organism that is, the one orgasm that lasts forever, the joyous laughter that creates all love, and the life that goes with it. As they bathed in each other, soaking themselves into each other, the tree that surrounded began soaking them in too. Then its roots in the earth, then the very earth itself, and all that grew from it. When they reached that crescendo, when they hit that certain pinnacle point, they were already there. God, man, woman, united, though there was no division anyway. Gently, the thunder died down as the last of the herd passed to the south, and the morning breezes went about their work of clearing the air, by gradually settling the dust back to the earth from whence it had come. "Jesus," whispered Great-Grandma softly into the wagon boss's ear, holding him tightly in her arms, soaking up the sunshine, breathing one breath. "Jesus." "I am who you want me to be," sighed the wagon boss, regaining his human senses, "and I love you." "But of course," she breathed, licking his ear delightfully, "you are love." "We'd best be getting back to the wagons," he sighed, disgusted with himself. What had come over him? Why had he said that? "We'll be heading westward now, if there's anything left to head westward with." The two of them sat up, looking through the dusty haze in the direction of the assembled wagons, their eyes straining to see. Had a miracle occurred? Were the wagons and the oxen safe? "Fear not," came a voice from inside her heart, a voice she knew to be that of the white buffalo god. Excuse me. "Neither I or my people shall harm you. You will safely journey to your destination." "Thank you, I'm with you," whispered Granny softly, her startled man looking around with a question mark in his eyes. "Don't worry," she assured him. "The wagons are safe. And look below, there's the oxen." "Well, I'll be," he muttered, almost standing, then remembering his nakedness and retreating into the tree. "We made it." When he looked back up, both of them stood in the palm of the tree fully dressed, as though their clothes had never fallen from them, as though nothing had changed between them at all. They'd merely been hiding out in the tree, waiting for the buffalo to pass. "Well, I'll be," he muttered again, looking into Granny's grinning eyes, the laughter of the joke written plainly on her face. "How'd you do that?" "Do what?" asked Great-Great-Granny, beginning her downward climb. "Oh, nothing," muttered the wagon boss, still amazed, still more than a bit shaken. He would have to regain his composure as quickly as old Granny had. And drawing in a deep breath, he tried. Hee-haw! Well, that's just a little bit of Great-Great-Grandma's journey. And forgive me, I'm a little attached to the story there. It lives in me all the time. It's something I can't put away and just ignore, you know. I live that tale right along with her. And all the rest of them, too, that are portrayed in that book and throughout all the aspects of creation in my life, you know. I live their energy just like they were here with me right now. And I breathe it in, and I exhale it out into creation through the love of their heart, as well as my own. I know what it's taken to get us here, and it's been a bitch. A royal, miserable fucking bitch, but a beautiful one to boot. And moments like that, so cosmic, so magic, so real, yet so not there. Yet it happens. And it's a reality. It's a moving beyond the gruesome reality in which we labor and seeing the truthful reality in which we live. And generations have carried this dream in this way and other ways as well. Moments of purity, moments of clarity when they live beyond this world. When they live in the presence of the dream that creates all and there find unity. And there was no cowboys and Indians and pioneers and shit. There was just beings alive and together, living the love of the prairie magic in that moment. In the thunder of the buffalo hooves, they went charging on by, man. God. That's a freeing moment, and it lives to this moment. And in my heart, I live it. The same as if I were right there now, being those beings, being those presences, and all the animals that were with them, etc., and the engine too, and all the rest of it. Living as the tree that surrounds them and provides the safety, the place of the earnest beginning of life, where it comes into reunion with itself, harbored safely in the divine branches of the tree of life, the very tree of life itself, given by the river of love, which is the river of life, which in this case was the North Platte. But sure, that's got to be a metaphor, doesn't it? That whole moment probably represents something far deeper even than what it portrays there. Like I tell folks, when you read The Atomic Bomb, you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. And what lies beneath it is the rest of the story, and that's what it's meant to cue up in you. To get that flame of love burning, to remember yourself, because you haven't felt it for a long, long time. These little moments come to awaken us, to bring us back to life, to bring us healing from all of the tragedy we've created here, to let us accept for real our divine presence in creation. And it's every bit as mystical as that little bit of tale I just shared with you. It's every bit as powerful as that too. Jesus, Joe, and rock and roll, and the medicine show to go with it. All of it together. Brother Love's traveling medicine show and then some. And babies, we're all living characters alive in that dynamic as well as this one. It's very, very colorful. very, very real. And we're beginning to see that it's more than we ever imagined it to be until we see the heart's imagination in motion, because that's a reality manifesting itself into being. Moments like this remind us of the nature of our divine connectedness with everything, and of the contented orgasmic presence in all life. And in this moment, as we relive it and relive it and relive it, it's just one moment, it lasts forever. All of creation finds its peaceful truthfulness, peace in its truthfulness, truthfulness in its peace. It settles the belligerence forever. The art of separation shall be no more. The tragedy of polarity is the triumph of singularity, a united heart in all that live, especially human. God, ain't it good to be alive, baby? Ain't it good to be living? Oh, babies, it's in your heart. It's all given. Just live with it, be with it. I gotta go wipe my nose, babies. Papa loves you. Papa is your love. You know, I'm your life, reflecting that love back to you, so you can see and understand it more clearly. Same way that Mary Jane helps you see it too. There's mirrors everywhere. We're just a few. Ain't this a good beginning as I reflect you and you reflect me too? Oh, and away we go with more of the Rock and Roll Coyote Medicine Show here on the Hazy Radio. Don't you know, the source of your true love and heart and a real energy drink for your soul, man. This will get you up and going.